Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today is a pregnancy update and it's pretty exciting because pretty certain this is the last one, which is crazy. It's gone by so fast, but today we're recapping weeks 36 through 38. Full transparency, I am 38 weeks today, but for reasons we will get to, baby's probably coming this week. So this is gonna be the last update, but yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into it. So week 36, baby was the size of a bunch of kale, 18 to 19 inches and weighing 6 pounds. As for me during week 36, so according to this, I lost 2 pounds, but if you recall from the last pregnancy update, I had just flown home. It was like the middle of the day when I weighed myself on week 35. So I think that one was off because usually your most accurate weight is like at the beginning of the morning before you've eaten anything. So week 35 was like my mid-afternoon weight, but from that I lost 2 pounds to week 36. So I had gained about 26 pounds total in pregnancy. So symptoms this week, I really felt, now I have a hard time with nesting because people talk a lot about nesting and I definitely felt that, but at the same time, if you watched the previous update, things had been crazy. I had been away from home for off and on about 3 weeks. And so part of it could have been that nesting instinct, but part of it was just like, I have not been home. This baby's coming soon and there's a lot to do. So yeah, we can call it nesting, but I also just call it common sense. I almost wondered if she had dropped this week because she just started feeling so heavy. Like walking around the grocery store, I would just randomly start holding my stomach because it just felt like she was gonna fall out, which I know she was not going to, but yeah, she was getting heavy in there. I definitely had some trouble sleeping during this week, which there are multiple reasons for that, which we will get to, but pregnancy is one of them. I think I've mentioned this before in other videos, but baby girl liked to do this thing I like to call starfishing. It feels like she's pushing out like both her arms and her feet at the same time because it's just like she's coming out every which way. And so she did a lot of starfishing this week. So during week 36, this was my first week back in my nurse midwife's office because if you recall, I missed week 34 or had to do 34 over the phone because of having COVID. So I finally got to go back in office. They got to like measure everything, look at baby, everything looked great. We did an ultrasound to make sure that baby was still head down, and she was, hallelujah. They also did the GBS swab, which is like group B strep. This is a weird one. Ladies, if you haven't had it before, they like swipe your vagine with a cotton swab basically to test for if you have group B strep. And if you do, then you have to have, I forget if it's a shot or an IV during labor. But luckily mine came back negative, so I don't have to worry about that. They also let me know week 36 that there had been a change in COVID protocol. So previously they had told me if you got COVID late in pregnancy, then they were recommending an induction at 39 weeks. And I really didn't want an induction. And so I was asking some questions at week 36 and she was like, oh yeah, we actually got new protocol this week that they're no longer recommending the induction. It's just encouraged if you would like to. And I was like, heck no, I don't want to get induced. So no longer had to have the induction. I got a lot done this weekend, which was great. I was able to wash all of her clothes. I was able to really get the nursery finished, as you can see, which was very exciting. And let's see, packed my hospital bag, packed her hospital bag, and I had my first dream about baby and what she looked like. And I dreamed that she had really dark hair, which I love because mine is actually a little bit lighter than this. I dye it to be dark. So I was like, I would love for her to come out with like beautiful dark hair. So we'll see if that is actually true, but that was really exciting. That was like the first time I've dreamed about what she would look like. Now the downside of week 36, so I mentioned there'd been a lot of traveling going on. Week 36 is just after Jordan and I think week 35, me and Jordan got back from Arizona, and I immediately went off to a trip with my family. He had just missed so much work, he had to stay and go to the office. So we were apart for about 5 days. During that time, he started getting sick and ended up, this is a way longer story, but ends up he had pneumonia. So from the time I got back from the trip with my family, so basically the rest of 35 and all of week 36 into week 37, I was sleeping on the pull-out couch upstairs because we didn't know what he had. It took the doctors like a full week to actually do the test to verify what it was and found that it was pneumonia. Before that, they were basically just like, here's some cough medicine, get well soon, drink water, and he was like just getting sicker and sicker. And so finally figured out he had pneumonia, which once he got on the antibiotics and all that stuff, we found he was no longer contagious, which was great because I was having a hard time of worrying about like, we don't know what he has. Am I gonna catch it? We both already had COVID. So like, what is this? And so we were assuming like maybe just the regular flu. I got a flu shot, but is that always effective? Anyways, so it was a little bit of a stressful week because I was, 36 weeks along in nesting mode, just wanted to get everything done, but I was also taking care of him and also trying to protect myself from getting sick. So a lot going on in week 36. Week 37, baby's the size of a canary melon, whatever that is, 19 inches, 6.5 pounds. And I actually gained a decent amount of weight this week. I had not noticed that until just now, but according to this, I gained about 4 pounds that week. So that brought me up to 30 pounds gained total in this pregnancy. For symptoms, week 37, this is when I started getting some like just regular cramps, because before that I had gotten Braxton Hicks, which is like the tightening and the loosening. But I have heard so many people talk about like going into labor of like, oh, it's really bad period cramps, but I hadn't felt any of that until week 37. Then I started feeling occasionally crampy. This also came with some back pain. I described it as it feels like someone just like kicked you in the back and like it hurts for a good 10 seconds and then all of a sudden it's gone. And so that was an interesting one. That was new. I also had continued trouble sleeping, which I think is just because she was getting so big. I would like have to physically hold my stomach to roll from side to side because she was so heavy. And then another thing I noticed, I actually had noticed this earlier on, but I hadn't like written it down, was that like when you blow your nose, sometimes there's blood in it, which is totally normal for pregnancy. I think it's just like a hormone thing. I can't explain why. Google it yourself. But I finally remembered to write that down for week 37 because I definitely noticed that. So for what went on during week 37, we're going to back up just a smidge to the last night of week 36. So my changeover day is on a Friday. So on that Thursday night, I went to dinner with a friend, and then on the way home, stopped at the grocery store, grabbed a couple things, and then just came home. Well, when I was driving home, I was like, man, my pants feel tight, but I was wearing maternity jeans and I hadn't been wearing maternity jeans very often. So I was like, it's probably just the jeans. Like I just need to put my leggings back on. So then I got home and took off the jeans and I was like, no, my stomach is still tight. And I was like, oh, it must be like a Braxton Hick or something like that. But then I noticed it wasn't loosening. And so I tried different positions. I drank a lot of water that day. but it still just, until I went to bed that night, it was just like so rock hard and like would not loosen up. Texted a couple friends who've had babies. They've never experienced it before. So it freaked me out a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I'm sure it's fine. Like everything's just getting ready. Well, luckily the next morning I wake up and it was looser, but that was the morning of 37 was the start of the cramps and the back pain. So I was like, okay, prolonged Braxton Hicks last night, cramps and back pain this morning. Like, am I about to go into labor? Like, I didn't actually think I was going to, but it was just kind of interesting, like having those back to back. And luckily I had a chiropractic appointment that morning. So I hadn't been to the chiropractor in about a month because of all the crazy traveling and everything. So he said he definitely had some adjusting that had to be done. But after he got me all adjusted, no more cramps, no more back pain. So I was like, oh, maybe there's some sort of correlation there. Maybe it's just from like sleeping on the pull-out couch that my back was out of whack and it was causing some of that back pain. And everything was fine. Let's see, I had an appointment that day. They did her fundal height, which she was 37, measuring right on track with her fundal height. So that was perfect. I had a prenatal massage on Sunday. My sister had gotten me a gift certificate for Christmas that I hadn't used yet. And so I was really excited. I was initially a little stressed because when we got back from all the craziness, I looked at their schedule and they had no appointments available till like week 39. And I was like, I don't want to wait that long. So luckily there was an opening, and so I snagged it and it was great. Unlike the prenatal massage on my baby moon, where they tried to have me sleep on my stomach and it made me sick, this one they had you prop up on your side and it was so much more comfortable. So really glad we did that. That Monday, we had our growth scan. So this was one of those things from having COVID and pregnancy. They say, I think it's either 4 or 5 weeks from your positive test, they want to do a growth scan because I guess they've seen issues with COVID causing your placenta to not work correctly. And so they do a growth scan at that amount of time later to see, like, is baby still growing on track? Has the growing slowed? How are your fluid levels inside the placenta and all of that? And mine came back great. Everything looked wonderful. She was in perfect position still, a little bit cramped because they tried to get some photos of her face and she was just like, you know, all curled up, and because, you know, she's kind of out of room in there. But they also got her estimated weight, which it's so funny. I've heard from some people, like, the growth scans can be off by as much as a pound, especially late in pregnancy, because again, they're all scrunched up in there, so it's hard to guess how big they actually are. But then I've had other friends that got frequent growth scans in 3rd trimester and their baby ended up being like pretty much right what they estimated. So all that to say, they said baby girl already at week 37 was measuring 7 pounds, 1 ounce. So all along they'd been saying she was a big baby. And that is a little bit big because, like the app said, average is like 6.5 pounds at that point. But I've also been measuring a little bit ahead all along. So up a ½ pound, not too shabby. I'm okay with that. So moving on to week 38. So like I said at the beginning of this video, I am 38 weeks today, depending on how you look at it. So the doctor will always do your weeks based on your menstrual cycle, but I happen to know my ovulation date and I feel like the ovulation date would be more accurate. So I do my changeover day on Fridays. The doctor does it on Saturdays. So I could be 38 weeks in a day or 38 weeks, depending on how you look at it. So at 38 weeks, baby is 19 to 20 inches, weighing 7 pounds. She was weighing 7 pounds about a week ago, so I'm thinking we're probably up closer to about 7.5 right now. But I've had just continued contractions and back pain. So again, the contractions have not been bad. they've been noticeable, but not necessarily like super painful. And then that back pain, it's just that same like swift kick in the back, stays for a little bit, and then it goes away. I gained 1 pound in week 38, so I'm now up about 31 pounds gained in pregnancy, which the healthy weight for me at the start was 25 to 35, so I'm right in that zone, which I'm happy about. So a lot has happened in the first 24 hours of week 38. I don't even need my notes for this because it's so fresh in my mind. So yesterday, I went to my 38-week appointment and everything looked great. She was in the right position. The nurse midwife said she was like super low. Her head was way down there when she was doing like all her measurements and everything, which again is great. You want her to start working her way down. And I had gone back and forth on if I wanted to do a cervical exam or not, which is where they check to see how dilated, if at all, you are. And I was like, well, I'm 38 weeks. Like, I definitely want to do a cervical check at 39 just to see like how we're doing. But I kind of wanted one at 38 just because like if I was locked up tight, you know, I've been trying to do things to prepare myself. I've been drinking the red raspberry leaf tea, like a cup or two a day. I did some baking this past week with dates. So I have these little like date nut bars. And so I've been eating those, but you're supposed to, for like optimal results, be eating like 6 whole dates. And I'm sure those little bars don't equate to having 6 whole dates. So I've been doing some stuff, but not all of it and not like super diligently. So I was like, well, if I get checked at 38 weeks and nothing is happening, that would be a good indication to me to like maybe step it up, maybe go get some more dates and like throw 6 in my smoothie or something, like make sure I'm getting that. Try the evening primrose oil because I hadn't started that yet because I'd heard mixed reviews. And so I was just like, I feel like knowing, even though I already know your cervical dilation, all of that does not mean like when baby is coming. You can be dilated for weeks and then still have to get induced. Like it's all totally different for everyone, and I know that. But mentally, for me, I wanted to know like, are things softening? Are things getting ready down there? Or do I have some work to do? So decided to get checked, all that to say, and I was 2 centimeters dilated. Well, I think she said technically 1.5 to 2 centimeters dilated and 50% effaced, which if you don't know what that means, because I did not before I got pregnant, it's basically like the sac, like how thinned out it is. Because as baby starts to drop, it like thins out. So then eventually that's when your water breaks and baby comes through. So it's like how thinned out it is. So it was thinned out to about 50%. And that was really exciting. So as she had said, even just from like measuring my belly, she already knew that baby's head was really low. But she actually said when she like felt up in there that she like felt the baby's fingers, which is crazy. Like the fact that her hand like touched baby's hand, like obviously there's placenta and stuff in the way, but I was just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. She's right there. Because I think in my mind, like baby had a really long way to travel. So the fact that she can just like reach up there and touch the baby, it's like it doesn't have far to come. I know it's still going to take a while and it's going to feel a lot further, but yeah, so that was a really cool experience. But we also had a little bit of complication because at the beginning of my appointment, they always do your blood pressure. So they took my blood pressure, and it was my favorite med tech. Is that what they are? I don't know. It was my favorite girl, and she took my blood pressure and she's like, well, that's weird. It's a little bit high, but like, don't even worry about it. We'll just do it again at the end of your appointment. And I was like, okay. Like, she didn't even give me a number, but I've never had high blood pressure before. So her and I were both like, oh yeah, well that's weird. Like probably a fluke. We'll try again. Well, so I do my whole appointment with my nurse midwife. We do the cervical check. I change back into my clothes, and then she comes in to get my blood pressure again. Well, when she does it again, I'm like 150/90, which all of that meant nothing to me until I Googled later and was like, realized that that's actually really high. And so she was like, okay, your blood pressure is actually higher than it was before. So let me go talk to your nurse. And I was like, okay. And so she went off and talked to her, and I was like, oh, whatever, no big deal. 150 means nothing to me. And so she came back and she's like, okay, we're actually going to send you over to labor and delivery for them to monitor you. And I was like, okay, totally, no big deal. They just want to like listen to baby for like 30 minutes, maybe do like a non-stress test or something, whatever. Plus, it'll give me a chance to look around labor and delivery because they're still not doing tours because of COVID and everything. So I was like, totally fine. Well, I called Jordan, try not to freak him out, and was like, I'm going to labor and delivery, but like, no big deal at all. And so I get there and they check me in, and I don't know why it like surprised me so much, but they like had me put on the hospital gown and like get in the hospital bed, and I was like, oh, this feels weird. Like I didn't expect to like actually be a labor and delivery patient today. Like I kind of just had it in my mind of like I was going over for a quick check or something. But yeah, they get me all strapped in and hooked up to all the monitors so they could be listening to baby and tracking my contractions. And yeah, then they start going over this list of questions and yada, yada, yada. And so long story short, I was at labor and delivery for 3 hours. They ran blood tests, urine samples, and then they had the machine like occasionally, like I think it was maybe every 20 minutes or so, it would just like automatically do a blood pressure check. And the rest of those came back, I think like high normal. It was like low 130s, high 120s. And yeah, so after 3 hours and after my blood and urine samples came back normal, they were like, okay, we're gonna release you. And I was like, okay, great. They're like, but once you have high blood pressure, like the 150, whatever, that's generally a sign that like you're going to continue having high blood pressure. Like when you get to this point in pregnancy, like usually high blood pressure doesn't just like go away once you get to this point. And so they're like, we don't think you're gonna make it to 39 weeks. And I was like, that's so exciting, like yay, baby's coming. And the nurse midwife acted a little bit weird about that. I think she was like not trying to scare me, but she was like kind of telling me this thing with caution, and I was just like, ooh, it's baby week. And you know, always keeping it positive. So she told me that, and I was like, okay, cool, like I'm ready, we got this. And she was like, okay, well, we're gonna discharge you, but you have to go pick up an arm cuff blood pressure monitor. You're gonna monitor yourself every night and every morning. If you get anything over 140, you need to call. Anything over 160, you're coming straight to labor and delivery and like giving birth that day. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And so she was like, we'll monitor through the weekend, have you come back in on Monday. On Monday, we'll do the blood pressure check and we'll go from there. And but then she was like, again, don't think you're gonna make it to 39 weeks. And I was like, okay, baby's coming next week, cool, whatever. So I also asked, like, since we know I'm 2 centimeters dilated now and things are starting to happen, would I, like, obviously if I'm 160, like, we gotta do what we gotta do to get the baby out. But if I'm only in the 140s, is there still an option for natural induction? Like Foley bulb, membrane sweep, any of those things, so I don't have to go on Pitocin. And she was like, yes, we could definitely try those things first if it's, you know, on the lower end. And so I was like, okay, great. She's gonna come this week. We may have to, you know, do some natural induction things, but you know what? I'm ready. Like, we're in week 38. It's fine. I'm kind of feeling good about where I'm at work-wise and home-wise and everything else. So I was feeling pretty good about that. So went, got my blood pressure monitor. Me and Jordan were supposed to have dinner with friends that night, but I didn't even get discharged until the time that our dinner plans were supposed to start. And so we ended up just like ordering in at home and went to bed early because it had been a day. Well, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna check my blood pressure all weekend. And in my mind, I was like, for sure, like it'll be fine this weekend. We'll make it to Monday, and maybe on Monday, if it's high again, then we'll schedule an induction for Tuesday. Like I was planned out still a few days. I was like, I for sure have the weekend. Well, then I woke up today, Saturday, and I woke up at like 5 o'clock ish, and baby just was being wild. She wasn't gonna go back to sleep. So I woke up with her. Well, I went and laid on the couch upstairs because I was starving, and we just laid there and did some meditations and listened to my daily audio Bible. And I was just like, okay, mentally planning, like we're gonna get so much cleaning done this weekend. It's gonna be great. We're gonna get everything in order. And did a couple things, ordered my like last minute Amazon stuff that I needed. And then about 10 o'clock, took a shower. After my shower, went to the bathroom, and I had my bloody show, which if you don't know what that is, I'm not going to explain it because it is a little bit gross, you know, bloody show in the bathroom. But it's not like a period, it's different. And so I even Googled, because I'd heard people talk about bloody show, but I didn't know exactly what it was supposed to look like. So I Googled it, not a picture of it, a description of it from like WebMD. And I was like, well, 100% that was bloody show. And so I looked up like, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, how soon after you get your bloody show do you go into labor naturally? And the answer, according to Google and some of my friends who have had kids, is about 2 days. So we went from like, we'll get through the weekend, get to Monday, maybe schedule an induction if we have to, maybe play it by ear, whatever. Now it's looking like she is going to come on her own probably in the next 48 hours. So I have had some more of those contractions and back pain throughout this morning. I got up and moved around and did a bunch of cleaning, and I think being on my feet helps. I get more of the back pain when I'm sitting. And so I've been on my feet a lot today, feeling good. We're gonna try to go to my cousin's birthday dinner tonight. Hoping I make it through that. And then I really got everything done that I wanted to do. So tomorrow, my plan is just to like rest and relax, and we'll see when things pick up. So it's no guarantee that the bloody show means she's coming in 48 hours, but that is pretty standard. And since I was already dilated to a 2 yesterday and 50% effaced and was having contractions the whole time I was being monitored, it's pretty likely. So we'll see. I may still end up having to go in on Monday morning for them to check my blood pressure. I may already be there in labor by that point. Who actually knows? So baby girl's due date was March 5th. It's looking like her birthday is going to be February 20 something, because tomorrow is February 20th. So somewhere between the 20th and the 26th, because I don't know now if they'll let me go past 39 weeks or if she'd even, I doubt she'll stay in that long. So basically sometime between February 20th and February 26th is looking like it's going to be her birthday. So this week we do have 2/22/22 on Tuesday, which would be a pretty cool birthday. So I don't know if she'll stay until Tuesday. If she does, that would be awesome. But yeah, this is the last pregnancy update, guys. The next video is going to be our like labor or our birth story, labor and delivery stuff. So I have been doing a lot of prepping for like hypnobirthing, and so I'm gonna try and like be staying in that headspace. I don't think I'll be talking to you and like narrating my birth story as it happens, but I am asking Jordan to just like occasionally set it up, like move it throughout the room a little bit so we can have like little clips. And even for me, like I just want to be able to go back and like, I'm not trying to have like a big YouTube birth story just to put it on YouTube. I want to watch it for me because I love going back and watching our wedding video and our honeymoon video and all those sort of things. So I would love to just have like this birth video to kind of document and remember everything about the journey. So yeah, our last pregnancy update, guys. Next time you see me, I will be in labor. I'm not nervous right now. I'm honestly just really excited. Because I got to go to labor and delivery yesterday, I got to see the room. I got to find out there's only one room that has the tub attached for like the hydrotherapy stuff. So we're requesting that room for sure. Hopefully no one's in it already. If not, there's a separate tub room that you can reserve, but it's not attached, so it's not as nice. Well, I mean, it is very nice, but you have to like leave your room to get to it. So, yeah, really excited, feeling good, feeling ready, mentally, physically, all of that, prepared. I know it's gonna be, well, I can't even say that because I talked to some people who are like, I thought it was gonna be harder than it was. And other people are like, it was harder than I thought it was gonna be. So I don't know what my experience will be, but I'm excited and I'm ready. And I just can't wait to meet her and see what she looks like. So I could go on forever, but we got to get to birthday dinner, so I got to wrap this up. So thank you so much for following along on my pregnancy journey. It's been so fun sharing it with you, and I can't wait to share all the rest of the baby journey with you. So stay tuned. The birth story will be coming out. It'll probably be a bit of a delay after this video because I'm gonna be a new mom. So I will get that to you eventually. Stay tuned. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell notifications if you want to be notified when that birth story does go live. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.